Um, just kidding. I am excited about this conversation we're about to have. I'm a little nervous too because I think it's just nerves and excitement is the same kind of emotion, right? I want it to go so well and I want us to have so much fun. So I think that's where it's coming from, but I know we will. So if you're ready to jump in, I'm ready. How do you feel?
I am ready.
Okay. Okay. So you're not nervous, or are you nervous?
No, I'm not nervous because I think this is just like a chance for me to like talk about how awesome you are. So I like that.
Yeah, I was, we have these after class coaching moments together, you and I, and you always say the best things. And I always think, gosh, I just wish everyone could hear what people have to say about AgeDEFY, and that is why I'm inspired to do this podcast, because I think the conversation needs to be had, because I don't think AgeDEFY is, you can't jump into it and think you know what's going on. And I wanted our conversations to kind of make people new to AgeDEFY feel more comfortable going through their experience and to know what's ahead. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I'm a new podcaster. I don't know how to interview people. So you're my second guest. So I am still learning the ropes. I'm going to do the best I can, but I'm going to keep track of my questions and try to stay on script as best as possible. Right here. My first question is, if you're comfortable with it, which I think you are, how old are you?
I am 58.
Okay, awesome. And I have to ask you this question. I'm not asking all the same questions, but I need to ask you this question because I just love your career. Will you please tell me what you do as in your career?
So I am a veterinarian first. And then I'm trying to move this so I don't have funny light in my face. A veterinarian first. After that, I work mostly on horses. And after that, I work mostly on athletes. So I am, what they call like a sports medicine veterinarian. And so I work on sporting animals, mostly horses. And I even have another layer to my training in that I'm trained in animal chiropractic and myofascial work and acupuncture and herbal medicine and homeopathy. And basically, I've had education in a, huge range of alternative healing modalities. And so I'm very into, holistic health for animals. And obviously that slops heavily over into my life as well. And so, I very much of a mind, body, spirit kind of outlook on life. My healing paradigm is you heal the body heals you. So, physical movement is a huge part of what I consider to be a big part of health. And because I train so heavily in animal performance and animal athletes, and I have a very good understanding of sports physiology and posture and what it means to not be in pain when you're moving around. So I have a really good background to qualify what you do. That's what I spend my whole life doing, which is basically looking for programs to help athletes be able to do their job longer and better without having problems. They're just animals.
Mm-hmm. I love all of this. I love so much what you're saying. And I think this is why this conversation is so important, because you have the experience, you have the knowledge, you've had the research, you also have 10 years on me in this life. You are my teacher as much as I feel like I am your teacher. And I love that about us. And we have been together for what, 3 years now?
Well, I think like 4 years now.
4 years, yeah. And how do we meet?
So I actually found you on Instagram. I was getting ready to have my hip replaced. I think I maybe found you right before my hip replacement, or I'd had mine and you hadn't had yours yet, because you got your first one, I think, like literally 30 days after mine. And so I found you on hashtag hip replacement, baby.
It works.
And there you were, out in your backyard, workout area, doing your stuff, doing your movement, and having gone through everything, knowing the kind of pain you had to be in and what you were experiencing. I was really, really blown away by your mobility and your balance and your stability. And I was impressed, and I was kind of like a little competitive, right? Because I had, then, you just got yours done, and I actually had a really good experience. I mean, I literally got out of my surgery. I was walking, I made dinner that night. I mean, I was walking up and down the hall without anything, the night of my surgery. So I had done a lot of prehab, but I was feeling very competitive with your rehab as well. So I was watching your rehab, and then one day you put up your X-rays,
Yeah.
and I was like blown away because they were so bad.
Yeah.
And the fact that you were moving, I mean, I could really relate to the work that you had done, because I could assess very much so the level of pain that you had to be in, how long you had been in that pain, all that you would, I could extrapolate that all from that X-ray. And great, like you had your new hip and you were moving good, but the fact that you were moving so well on the other side, which was completely trashed,
Mm-hmm.
it was just amazing. And I was like, wow, like I was just really amazed. And then you did this, you were doing some local classes,
Uh-huh.
and it was like so far out of my comfort zone to go to this class. I can't even tell you how far out of my comfort zone it was. And I was so nervous, and I was just talking myself in and out of it so many times. And but I was in so much pain. I had gotten my hip replaced, and my back had completely just tanked. And I was in, I couldn't believe how much pain I was in my back. I actually couldn't pick a pot up off the stove. That's how painful I was. And I had this new hip, and I just gone 3 years of being in pain. And so I decided to go, and it was like, you kept the class. It was amazing because only 3 people, I think, signed up, but you came, and that's just like who you are. You're just that kind of person. It's like you're not going to disappoint anybody if you can help it. And so that was cool. And it was just like the minute I met you, so I met you, and it was like, I almost just like started bawling right there, because I was in so much pain. And it was like, I knew that you were going to help me, and you were so connected and so compassionate, and there was so much empathy, and you were just like, I got this, like you're going to be fine. And
I remember that.
I kid you not, since that day, that class, that 20 minutes, I have never gone back to the amount of pain I was in before that class.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think I know why I love us, because you validate me, because I am doing things that is only from my soul. I have a lot of education too, but I've left that behind when I went into pain. And I really have created my programs around my pain so that I could keep moving. And you were in the same amount of pain, and I didn't know that you had studied my x-rays or anything like that. So that story is new to me. So that even validates my pain, right? Like when you're
Oh
in,
my God.
you don't know if anybody really believes how much pain you're actually in. So you just really, you validate everything that I'm doing. And I love having our conversations, because when I create a movement and I know it feels good to me, but then I have a pain person with me, right? Somebody that understands the pain that we had, that arthritis pain, and the movement feels good to you, then that's when I know for sure I'm on the right track. And that's how you help me so much, right? Because just because it feels good in my body, I wouldn't know if it would really feel good in somebody else. I can only assume. And you help me stay on those paths and create new movements. So that's why I love this whole back-to-back thing. And this is why this conversation is so important, because I don't have science to back up my claims. I don't have science to back up everything I'm doing, and it's just me, right? So yes, I'm proving my method, but when I can prove it on another pain body, that's when I know it's working.
Well, that is why I do give you so much feedback, because, I want you, because I know, like, and it is hard to explain, because people, if you haven't been through an experience like this, and you haven't lived with this kind of pain, and you haven't tried to go day in and day out trying to, live your life. And, I've been a single mom as well, so I mean, I can empathize with, the globalness of everything that you've been through. And it's just, it's hard to get across to people how amazing your work is, because if you don't really understand what you're doing, and I don't exactly 100% understand what's happening, but the longer I work with you, the more I feel in my body, and the more I feel what you're teaching us. And because it's very much is a new way of movement.
Mm-hmm. And I never want anybody to know what I'm talking about. I want you to be curious. I want us to be constantly looking for what else, right? As soon as we open up, I'm going to take off the shirt for a second. As soon as we increase your internal range of motion in your shoulder, well, then it opens up the next level. And so if I were just to be stagnant and say, these are the movements of AgeDEFY, we wouldn't be here 4 years later, and you wouldn't still be making improvements 4 years later if I had these set ways of moving, right? Because every time we unlock just a little bit more movement, there's more opportunity that we have to explore. And I feel that's maybe the AgeDEFY difference. And that's why we have to have these conversations, because you can't do a 6-week program with me. You can't just kind of do AgeDEFY. You kind of really have to embrace it and live it in a way, and it makes a difference. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I've gone, I mean, a couple of things. When I started with you, remember I said to you, I have like 11 people working on my body. I mean, I had so many body workers and chiropractors, and nothing would hold for more than 2 days. I would be back in pain again. And the first thing you said to me was, well, wouldn't you like it to be different than that? And it had never even occurred to me that was an option. I mean, I really thought that I was going to be just like a slave to these appointments, some of which were 2 hours away, for the rest of my life. And so anyway, I've kind of gone back and forth with Donnell as far as my program, because I love my Peloton bike. I ride my Peloton bike. I really I like that. And I've tried to use their platform. And every time I use their instructors and use their platform, I start to get sore again. And every time I start to get sore again, I go back to Donnell's program and I get healthy again. And And so I was kind of doing this back and forth for the last couple of years, where I sort of dip in and dip out and dip in and dip out, and I would do some stuff online. And then when you moved, your studio got a lot, no, I mean, it was much more upgraded. There was a lot more stuff there, and there was um, a lot more going on. And so I just made this commitment to, all in and to do the weekly classes. And, I ride the Peloton bike, but I don't look at any of the rest of their platform. I don't waste my time. And it has been amazing. I can't actually believe how much I started doing this in just this past October. So, and sort of fully committing to I do 4 to 5 classes a week. And they're really good times for me. Like, if I'm home, I can hit basically easily, 3, if not 5 classes a week. The times are really good. And, my body just keeps changing. It just keeps getting, everything just keeps getting better. The movement gets better when I'm doing the classes. I can make the shapes better. My extensions are getting better. My lengthening is getting better. I can feel more. I can feel more when I'm doing the movements. And there's just so many little things that it's like a week with you. Every single week is completely different. And I just feel like if I just surrender to your classes and I don't think about anything else, I know I'm going to get everything I need. I'm going to get the lymphatic health. I'm going to get the stretching. I'm going to get the movement. I'm going to get the weights. I'm going to get the lengthening. I'm going to get the bar. I'm going to get the stability. And I just I love that. I love just sort of surrendering to you.
I know what you're saying there, and you do, and this is something we have to talk about. People do need to surrender to me because I am not talking the way they've heard anybody else talk. And it can be frustrating because you get so used to, if you're a yogi, for example, this is how I do crescent lunge, this is how I do warrior two, and then you would come to my classes and I'd be like, I like to mess up all those things you like to do that you've become comfortable and you feel like you're good at. I like people to be challenged on a constant basis, no matter what their age is or their injury or their pain levels or experience in fitness. And this is why it's really hard for new people to come to me, because I don't really have that jumping off point. You have to almost just surrender and dive in and just say, okay, I'm going to commit to 1 live class a week and 3 videos. And I'm not going to say what videos, I'm not going to think about what videos I should do. I'm just going to push play on a video that sounds interesting. Instead of it being sounding like it's at my level, I just want you to be curious and just try things. And when you try my classes, when you surrender, that doesn't mean that you're trying to even get things right in my classes, right? I mean, is that part of the surrendering?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just kind of it's just sort of doing, not overthinking it, but just trying to do everything that you're sharing. And what's amazing for me is that I've done I've never had any sort of formal yoga training, and I started, doing yoga videos, and I never could understand how I couldn't, a lot of the postures, I actually didn't understand them. Like the warriors, I'm like, are my hips here or are my hips here? Like, where am I supposed to be? And that's the other thing that I love is the cues, because I'm really anal about it, because I want things to be lined up. I want my posture to be, I want to be symmetric. I want to be square. I always want to look like those old people that you're just like, wow, look at their posture, look at the way they're moving. And you see elderly people that are just so graceful and so strong and so in their bodies. And you're kind of like, well, how do you get there? And every week I am like, wow, I couldn't do that at all. And here I'm thinking, month after month, and I'm making so much progress, but then all of a sudden there's something that I am totally struggling with. And what I love is that, I mean, for me, I know that I'm not supposed to feel pain when I'm doing the movements. So if I'm feeling pain during the movement and I can't figure it out on my own, then I say to you after class, wow, when I do it this way, it hurts. And you're like, but look, you gotta do this. You've gotta, like, if you square your body here, or if you do this. And there's so many things in yoga class that they never talk about, like, screwing in your feet, and, getting your grounding, and like moving from your upper body, but you've got to like really stabilize your lower body to move from your upper body. And I mean, I learned from things from this class that I go then apply on, my animals, my athletes, because I start to understand how stability works in the body, and how you have to have stability here to have mobility here. And so when I met Donnell, I was like the most locked up human being that you've ever met in your life. And what was funny is I had these 11 people helping me, and it was my left hip, and everybody was concentrating on basically that, from my rib cage down. And Donnell was just like horrified by my shoulder girdle. I mean, she was like whatever, like, I don't know what's going on there, but I can tell you that this needs so much help. And that was what unlocked, that's what made the pain go away. Was because this is actually good for me that I could even get my arm here. I mean, I'm very, very tight through my shoulders, but I am 1,000 times looser than I was when I started working with Donnell. And that's what was really perpetuating my back pain, is that I had no segmental mobility of my arms. So every time I moved my arms, I was dragging my lower back into the movement, and that was creating, an inability for anything to ever get better, even for a second. And so that's why from the first class I did with Donnell, she unlocked me like whatever, that much. And that, that first unlocking has been enough to keep me out of that incredible amount of pain. And then the more I get better here, the better I am down here. But she is the only person I have ever met that just was, just kind of turn things around. And I just am so, I'm just so grateful. And I just wish that everybody could experience this the way that I've been able to. And I do tell everyone I know, and I
Half my studio is from her referrals, just so you know. For real. And I love it. So I want to talk about that a little bit, because when I did meet you, I do remember, you were telling me 11 people are working on this. And but what about the rest of you? Right. And so that was the lesson, the switch that I needed as well. Before I found out that my hips needed to be replaced, I spent probably 2 years trying to figure out why I had the hip pain. And I went to acupuncture and chiropractic care and physical therapy and dry needling. And I spent so much money and so much time going to these appointments trying to figure out my pain. So when my pain was finally defined for me, and I realized that nothing was going to fix my hips, no exercise, no person, no medicine, no magic trick was going to fix my hips. I needed my hips replaced. I had to stop trying to fix my hips and focus on the rest of my body. And so that is my coaching approach. So when I met Rachel, or anybody like Rachel, and they've worked so hard to get out of pain where their pain site is, I like to focus on everything else. I will be your coach, where the person that says, I'm not going to work on your hip. I'm going to work on your spine, your shoulder mobility, your grip strength, your foot strength, your lymphatic system. I'm going to get you to know your pelvic floor. I'm going to turn on your inner thighs. We're going to learn how to unzip and zip your pelvis. I mean, that's a lot of work that needs to be done, and it takes time, but it does work. And Rachel's story is proof to it, I think, right? That whole approach of if you have pain in the hip, stop trying to fix the hip, work on the rest of you, the rest of your body, make the rest of your body be 100, feeling so good, not 100%, we can never be 100%, but feeling so good that the hip just starts feeling better. Is that kind of the same thing we're talking about here?
Absolutely. And that's, I mean, the funny thing is that's the way I approach lameness in horses as well, because they have a lot of problems that you can't fix. But a lot of times there's a lot of other problems that you can help, that if you help those, you bring up the whole, you bring up the health of the whole body enough that it's manageable.
And that's the point, right? Like, if you're going to be in pain, listen, I couldn't get my hips replaced at 40. The doctors didn't want to replace my hips at 40. And still to this day, people are being told at 40 they shouldn't have hip replacements, because I'm hearing about it all the time, right? My doctor says I need both hips replaced, but I'm too young. And I heard that. So what was I supposed to do? My doctor suggested a career change, stop teaching. I love to teach, right? Get a career change, take it easy, wait, go as long as you can, get as old as you can before you have your hips replaced, because they're not forever. That's what I heard from 9 doctors, right? And I hated that advice, to be honest with you. So what was I supposed to do? Lose my zeal for life, my lust for life, because I was in pain? And so that's my coaching method. My coaching method was, I will do anything and everything to keep doing what I want to do on a daily basis, even though I am in pain. I stopped trying to get out of pain, and I switched to, I'm in pain, let me still live big with it. And that is my approach. And that's why, you said you met me on that outdoor series. I know that, I didn't know that part, but that outdoor series was a 7-day mobility series that I did 7 days prior to my first hip replacement. I wanted to do a 1 week movement medicine with everyone, and include for myself, but I wanted my community to join me. And that was 7 days before my hip replacement. And I did that out of a need that I just needed community. I was freaking out that week. I mean, were you scared for your surgery?
Oh yeah. I mean, I spent 3 years and probably $40,000 trying to avoid.
Yes.
I mean, I could have had it at any time, because I was, I had mine at 56, I guess. And so they, I could have had it at any time, but I didn't want to have it. Cause I'm a holistic doctor, and
Right.
The body heals all. So I was trying to heal, and I might've got there if I'd met you earlier, because my situation was more about stability than pathology.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't get it stabilized, and they wouldn't go in and do anything with the labrum, and they and there was big cysts in there. So it wasn't really an arthritic thing. It was more like the hip was so anterior that I could literally, the femoral head was coming out of my groin.
Right.
Like you could feel it there.
And your labrum was torn? Was your labrum?
They never said one way or the other, but it was like like the hip literally was so far forward in my body, and I think it had kind of been trying to get there my whole life, and it was like all of a sudden it was almost like the joint capsule just kind of almost gave away in a way.
Yeah.
It was, I still to this day don't exactly understand. I took a really bad fall at some point, and I have a lot of, like my back, like they would do if it wasn't for you, they would be trying to do like a 7,
And I would not, I do not, I think back surgery should be the one that we avoid the most if possible, right?
Yeah.
I think we do everything we can with movement. I mean, like you just validated something to me too, because people ask me all the time, how'd you hurt your hips? And I always wonder if I hurt them, but I don't think I did. Do you agree, looking at my x-rays and stuff? Do you think it could have been the way I moved created my problems? I mean, my doctor said that I had hips.
It's, it's hard to say. I mean, I sometimes think that, that level of osteoarthritis at that age, just doing yoga stuff doesn't, I don't really get that. I just wonder if there's something else going on in our bodies, like a level of inflammation that isn't normal, whether it's our diets or like something else going on where we're just, lifestyle, who knows, but creating just a much, more hyper-inflammatory process. So, if there is a lot of energy at your hips, because of something else, you may be more, you may be like a higher risk to get arthritis. But I don't really quite get that in, I do think there's definitely some developmental, some sort of weakness there, something going on in the bone that's setting you up for that kind of problem versus it just being like a one-to-one, you do this, you get this kind of stuff.
The doctor that I had do my hip replacements, I just felt like he got me for the first of 9 doctors. He just got me. He was the only one that said, if you want to hike, you can hike after your hip replacements. If you want to run, you can run after hip replacements. If you want to yoga, you can. He was the only doctor out of 9 that gave me permission to do that after my hip replacements, right? And he said, you have hips like I would expect a 60-year-old professional football player. This is in your DNA. This is somewhere down the line. This is not your fault. And I just remember big fat tears just falling out of my face, just crying. And I was like, okay, sign me up, replace my hip. I was ready. So, people ask me all the time, my story of the hip replacement, which is another reason I wanted to do this podcast, is get that story out in bits and pieces, right? Get little parts of the whole experience. But one thing I do want to mention, when I first met you and you told me your career, and I think it's such an important career, I said, I think one of my goals with you is to keep you in your career for as long as possible, for as long as you want to be there. And it's so important that you got out of pain so that you could continue your career. And so that's why I think AgeDEFY can be a daily thing for people. And it doesn't have to look at like, oh, I have to do an AgeDEFY workout. It's more like, you ride your Peloton bike for, let's say, what reasons for Peloton bikes? For the cardio, the energy levels. I mean, what do you get?
Baby, I ride for endorphins.
And do you set yourself to like 3 times a week, or I've got to get this cardio in every day? Or I'm just saying.
I don't have any. I mean, to me, like, I get enough exercise in my job and everything that I do that I don't really exercise. I have a different approach because I don't exercise for exercise.
Good. This is what I'm saying. Yes.
So I don't, like, for me, I'm happy not to exercise for a month. I don't care. Like, my body doesn't really change all that much because I'm very active, but like I ride the bike because it makes me feel better, basically. Right. I ride it for the endorphins. I like to, plug in and just, ride for 45 minutes, but like, you are my therapist. Right. You take care of my body. You allow me to work. You allow me to enjoy my life. You allow me to stay out of pain. You're knowing that you're here on this earth. It's like that, the fact that I can sit in my house. I live in Texas, in the hill country. I am on 260 acres. I am 60 miles away from the grocery store. Like, there's no place for me to go. And the fact that I can have you in my little gym here during the week and I can talk to you, and it's like the most amazing thing in the world, honestly. It really is. And it gives me so much hope. And I wish that, like, my colleagues, I mean, you don't have no idea how many times I just put your website up but it's hard to explain to people, And I say, like, the workouts aren't, a lot of them are easy. And like a lot of times I don't even break a sweat, but all of a sudden I can put my socks on without falling over after the workout.
And this is what I was meaning, because you say everybody I've interviewed, Ken, well, I've only interviewed 2 people, but Ken was the same way. I'm doing 6 to 8 classes a week. I don't want to scare people because people have become so accustomed to fast results, but there is no fast results when it comes to AgeDEFY, because even with you, we're not even done with you. We've got so much more room to grow and to stretch into with your classes, right? Your workout at AgeDEFY. Rachel?
You froze on me.
Oh, there you go. Sorry. But what I meant, like, I don't want to scare people off, because I think people start to show up to AgeDEFY because it feels good to show up to AgeDEFY. You don't have to break a sweat for it to be such a powerful workout. And so I love that you just said that, and I now have audio of that. It's important to be able to put your socks on without pain. It's important to spend 40 minutes doing AgeDEFYing your body so that you can ride 45 minutes hard on Peloton. You can put your socks on. You can be a horse chiropractor. You can be everything you want to be. So, I don't want people to think that you can't put the time in. You don't have the time to put the time in. They have to make the time to put the time in. Do you agree? To live young.
I mean, yeah, 100%. I mean, this is, and that's what people think about exercise, and they think about it, exercise like losing weight, exercise like looking better, but they don't realize that the core strength that we develop in this class makes you do everything better. The range of motion, this is like the first thing that you should do before you do anything else is the AgeDEFY, because you'd be surprised, because I don't think that you need actually sort of the hard, uncomfortable, unfun, painful workouts if you're doing this, because this actually trains your body to work better. It trains your body to move better. Most of us are so stuck. We're moving through such a small part of our range of motion. And this gets you feeling better. So every part of your life changes. And so many people, in my profession, everybody has a bad back, because if you're not lifting horses, you're throwing dogs around and you're getting up and down on the floor. And I mean, I just like for the veterinarians, I mean, this is amazing. For people, for riding horses, I mean, I ride horses. This has helped my riding so much. I can't even tell you how much I never had the lower part of my zipper my whole life. I think I was just zipped to my belly button. I didn't have really, I didn't. And I didn't even know how to find that. That's the thing with the AgeDEFY, is that a lot of times you're sort of going through the motions. It's a little bit of a fake it till you make it kind of workout, because a lot of times you can't feel what's happening. You're doing it. And that's sort of the whole thing, I think, like where yoga got defined. It's actually all about sort of working with your fascial lines, and these poses probably are really designed to kind of go with the way the muscles and the fascia go in your body. But AgeDEFY is so much better than, I think, yoga to let, to sort of release and open up and start reconnecting your body correctly. Then, I mean, it works way better than yoga. It's way more effective, but it does take a little bit of time. But the short, I mean, you had that like 7-day, like 5 minutes in the morning or 7 minutes. I mean, that's what you told me to do after I saw you. And I did that. I think it was 15 minutes in the morning and in the evening, life-changing. I mean, just doing 15 minutes of work with the mobility stick for my upper body. Or for me, sometimes a lot of your poses, they fire up muscles that aren't working. So like if my psoas, I remember telling you, like a lot of times I would be working and I just would have like literally 10 minutes and I would just get in like crab and tiger and do those. And that would get my lower core fired up, which would immediately stabilize my back, and I could go to work. And, just doing like a few things just to kind of get these muscles to fire up and do their work. And there's so many, I think, things that go on with your practice that you don't even know is happening. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like so much of what you do is so intuitive. Like you see the flow. I mean, you see the flow in people, you see the blocks in people, you see where things aren't moving, you understand that. And just like we're in class and you're like, tighten the muscles around your knees. And I'm like, what? And then I do it and I'm like, wow, that's way better. So, and it's like, I would never even think about it. So I mean, honestly, I don't have everybody, you should,
just do this is what you're saying. And I love it. And I love what you just said, because Rachel, so Ken is saying he's doing 6 to 8 classes now, but he also just started with the 15-minute workouts. And then they just started to feel so good that he was like, oh, maybe I'm ready for a 30-minute bar class. I've never done bar before. And now Ken is addicted to bar, and step flow. He's going into these workouts, but he started with 15-minute workouts. You took those 15-minute workouts and you then filled your vault with some movements that felt good. And then when you needed them most, you could pull from your vault and do them at any time, at any moment. And that is the message behind AgeDEFY. It is movement medicine. Because if all of a sudden your back locks up, let's just say, you said you were 60 miles from anywhere in town. You can't just get to your massage therapist. You can't just get to your chiropractor. I want to teach people how to take care of your own body. For you, my mover, to become your own massage therapist, your own chiropractor, your own coach. So what I do is I fill your vault, and then you can do movements throughout the day when you need them. And so Ken and Rachel have worked up to coming to all the live classes and doing all the videos, but really just start with the 10, 15 minutes a day and go from there. Would that be a good suggestion for any beginner?
Oh, completely. Yeah. I mean, you get so much out of just the 10 or 15 minutes. I mean, so much out of it. I mean, for me, I really want to, I have goals,
right?
Like I want to be doing I've never been able to do a back bend. I mean, I'm hoping,
we're going to get you there.
I can do a back bend. Like that's my goal. And I mean, the thing about my back, I have no, if you watch Donnell, I have no, no movement back here. I mean, it is just as locked up as can be. It's like a square. And sometimes I get frustrated in class because I can't make the shapes, but I'm sound. I'm out of pain. I'm not, I'm not in any discomfort, and I'm getting better every week. I can do a little more.
I love that. One of the questions was, if we were to meet again in 1 year and have this podcast again, what would be some of your physical goals? So back bend, let's get this on tape right now. So, so if in 1 year we have you in a back bend, so wheel pose is what we're thinking, the traditional yoga wheel pose. Yeah. Okay.
But even so lately, right, you've been doing the thing where we do the level 1, right?
Oh, yeah.
And level 2. Well, look at my level 3 compared to yours.
I think your level 3
I want like an arch in my back at level 3. See?
Yeah. Okay. So this month I'm bringing back the camel transitions from tiger to camel to crab. So camel is where we're going to go. Okay. So I know you're coming back to class, next week? Live classes next week? Yeah.
So I'm out of town, so I'm leaving on Thursday. I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be in class tomorrow, but then I'm going to be gone for a week.
Okay, I'm going to leave this with you, and this will be a coaching tip for you, but it's going to be for everyone on the podcast. And then I have one more question, and then we can go. But I want you to find your jugular notch and touch because you're going to do this as movement homework until, I know we're going to see each other tomorrow, but let's just say for Tuesday's Chi Flow class, okay? And flow motion class. So find your jugular notch and then kind of find your midline right here. Now you're going to take your fingers to the soft tissue area right around, and you're just going to do little finger pulls. And I'm doing some shearing pulls right here, and kind of maybe do even individual fingers, and then you can go up, and the pressure should be up to you, but it should definitely feel like you're pulling on the skin. And also, instead of just the fingers pushing into the chest, push the chest up into the fingers.
Oh,
Good.
yeah,
You're feeling that?
Yeah, I can feel it with that, yeah.
This area on you is very, it's seamed together, right? It's almost like, it's like this. And what we're gonna need to do, and it's rigid, okay? So when you pull on it, it goes nowhere. So you are, for your movement homework, you're gonna soften this area for me. So pretty much every day, just kind of work into this area. See, I'm even getting red in the chest. There is some pressure in there. And then by Tuesday, what you're gonna focus on when we start to do your back bends is not trying to bend back, but to try to open here. Okay, so you do your work, and then let's see where we go on Tuesday.
Okay.
I'm excited. Okay, so I have one more question. Look at how red my chest is. Yeah, you really want to get in there. And it's like muscle. You almost want to feel like you're taking the fascia, taking the muscle and pulling it, shearing it in a way. Yeah, and then you can do some light lymphatic tapping after a deep shearing. Just some tapping right here. I would say just to calm the nervous system down, because see how I did really get in there. So you do want to do a little calming. And then you can just kind of sweep it down towards the heart. So that's your homework every day till I see you on Tuesday. My final question to you. What does Wu Wei mean to you?
It means the end of class.
And you're right. Ding it, we're done. I love it.
No, it's like, it's like you say, it's a space between, and I love that. I love that. It's like, it's like the perfect balance. And everything has positive, negative, agonist, antagonist, and it's finding that middle. And that's like, I love the AgeDEFY warrior, because as I said, warrior poses never made sense to me. Neither one of those poses, but AgeDEFY, that makes sense. I love that you have, like, you just reinvented things that didn't make sense, because a lot of the stuff doesn't make sense for everybody. Really
Not when you're in pain like we are. The rules have to change for pain people, and they don't change in yoga, which is one of the reasons why I had to leave yoga, because it was so, the change that I needed to make to keep moving my body did not line up with the yoga rules. And it just was a too much fight. So that Wu Wei was, okay, then I've got to make my own rules. If I'm going to survive this, if I am going to be able to keep teaching for the rest of my life, even though I have hips like mine, then I've got to change the rules. So I love that you said that you love the AgeDEFY warrior, because that is me changing the rules. And it just, once again, you validating me, knowing that I'm on the right path. And I just want to say thank you so much. I love you, and thank you. Seriously, thank you.
Well, I love you too, and I am so grateful to have you in my life, and everything, again, this totally translated into my work with my athletes as well. Like, it's all the same stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's why I just resonate so much with you, and I just want to make sure that you always feel empowered to keep doing what you're doing, because it's right.
Oh, man, thank you for this. I'm just going to go and edit it and get it up right now. I can't wait. Big hugs. I can't wait to see you. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.